Here are 35 reasons why I love Lightroom and why you should too. Yes, you as well as me. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Rick McAvoy, and each week on my YouTube channel I talk about what I've written about on my blog. You can check out my blog at rickmcavoyphotography.com. Right, this was a long one. 35 reasons why I love Lightroom. Now, I'm not going to go through all 35 reasons, but I could do, and that'd be the video basically. But no, I'm gonna pick out a few highlights. Now, the blog post starts obviously with the list of 35 reasons why I love Lightroom. Now, how did I get to 35? Well, I just wrote them down, to be honest with you, and when I got to 35 I thought, yeah, that's the main things. And then as I was writing the post I came up with a few more, but I didn't add to. I quite liked 35. It seemed like a good number to me. So here we have it, 35 reasons. The first one is, and I want to start with this, it was designed by photographers for photographers. Now that was one of their marketing straplines back in the day when Lightroom was released, which was in 2007. Yep, 2007, and I'm looking up there because I'm going to get something off my shelf in a minute. I was one of the first people to get Lightroom. Here we go. Adobe Photoshop Lightroom box with the license key. Yeah, back in 2007, you had to buy it and wait for the CD to be posted to you. Sorry, that's 3. That was the first one. That's Lightroom 1. Oh, there you go, Adobe Photoshop Lightroom. That's what it was called back in the day. First version doesn't even have a number, it's just Lightroom. So I got Lightroom 1, 2, 3. Then they got funky and it was in 4, which was in a smaller box, which was nice. 2007 was when I started to become serious with my photography. I spent all my life into photography, but not taking it that seriously. I just did holiday snaps and stuff like that. But 2007, I tried to learn Photoshop, and I struggled with it. But at the same time, Lightroom came out, so it was a perfect time for me to pick up Lightroom because I got it right at the very beginning, and I'm still using it now. So it was designed by photographers for photographers, and that still applies now. And as a photographer, I still use Lightroom as my software of choice. Number 2, it has a lovely logical workflow. It just does. It makes sense, and you can customize things. I go on to this in the blog post, obviously, but you can customize how it's set up and put the panels where you want them, so you're working in a logical order on your screen, which for someone like me, I need all the help I can get, so it's great. Editing is a visual treat. Sliders. Slide to the left, slide to the right. If you don't like it, you can reset it. It's called, and I don't actually use this term in the blog post, it's called non-destructive editing. Anything that you can do can be undone. Even when you export a photo out of Lightroom and you create a brand new file, which will be a JPEG file, of a different size and what have you from the file in Lightroom, the photo in Lightroom is still there. It creates a new version which you export out, which you share to other people, issue to clients, what have you. But the original image is still there, and you can still reset it back to the very beginning of exactly how it was when you took it. And that applies forever and a day in Lightroom. So that's number 1 thing that I like. It's designed for photographers. It's logical. It makes sense. I talk about these things quite a lot in the... I don't talk about them, do I? I write about them in the blog post. I'm talking about them now. Keyboard shortcuts. There are loads of them. Now, if you subscribe to my email, there's a subscribe box somewhere on the page you're looking at on my website, if that's where you are now. I will send you a freebie which is all about Lightroom's good stuff that I've put together, which I'm quite proud of, I'm not going to lie to you. So Subscribe to my weekly newsletter. You'll get something interesting every week, something from me. Possibly not the norm, something a bit different. Hopefully something a bit entertaining too. Right, Lightroom photos all in one catalogue. Sorry, that was keyboard shortcuts, wasn't it? Lightroom photos all in one catalogue. Now I have over 80,000 photos in a single Lightroom catalogue, and it's fine. And because I've got a file structure which Lightroom enabled me to do to store my photos, I can find them dead easy. Now, if you don't have Lightroom, this might sound a bit strange. If you don't have Lightroom, where do you put your photos? Do you just have them in folders in Explorer or Finder as it's called on the Mac? I don't really know what you do. Mine are in Lightroom, and the folders in Lightroom are recreated in Explorer, so it's just like filing any other digital files, which makes sense. So yeah, excuse me, I've been doing it for so long that I don't know what the alternative is, because I've never looked for it and I don't need to. Now, I set up my file structure some years ago and had a catastrophic hard drive failure, and I've made it so I can expand it, so I've never needed to change the file structure. I can find my photos pretty much instantly. It's all good, and Lightroom's helped me to do that, so I know where everything is, which is a good start. It integrates into my backup. I can have collections where I sync my favourites. You know, like a playlist with your music. You can do a playlist for your photos and they can just pop up on your phone, on your iPad. If I go to a client meeting now, I don't have to do anything because my portfolio it's in my main Lightroom catalogue, but it's in a collection which is synced with Lightroom Mobile. So anytime I change a photo, it automatically updates it. So many things to love. Do I want to go on? Automations, I talk about them. You don't need layers. Now, layers are, for me, a complicated thing in Photoshop that I don't understand, and I never have. And it took me a long time and a lot of time spent trying to learn how to use it to realise this one groundbreaking thing for me. I don't need layers because in Photoshop I can do everything that I want to. So I don't need layers, and that's a wonderful thing. What do I use Photoshop for? Well, to remove things I can't remove in Lightroom, and that's it. How much does it cost? Less than £10 a month for Lightroom and Photoshop. I think that's a bargain. I'm a paying customer. I'm not being paid to say this. I pay my £10 a month and I'm happy to do that. Lightroom's quick, works on multiple devices. Syncing-tastic. Copy and paste like a pro. Metadata all covered. This is the good stuff that I cover. So if you want to read the blog post, and I hope that you do, go to rickmcavoyphotography.com and you'll find it there. There's a category called Lightroom, which has got all my Lightroom posts in. And while I've got your attention, because you're still with me clearly because you're watching this, check out the Photography Explained podcast. That is my audio offering, in which I produce... Sorry, I was going so well there. I was speaking almost eloquently, but I failed right at the end. The Photography Explained podcast. One photographic thing explained in plain English in less than 10 minutes without the irrelevant details. Check out the website. Wait for it. photographyexplainedpodcast.com. Right, I'm done here. Thanks for watching. Please pop back next week for something. I think I'm going to stick with the Lightroom theme for a bit, but head over to my website, rickmcavoyphotography.com, where you'll find loads of stuff about photography. It's all free. And there's also a course there if you want to spend some money and learn some stuff from me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Cheers from me, Rick.